The plane was cruising at 37,000 feet when the first scream cut through the cabin. At first, most passengers thought it was turbulence, another harmless shake over the Atlantic. Seatbelt signs flickered on, coffee spilled. A baby started crying. But then the aircraft dropped. Not a gentle dip, a sudden violent lurch that slammed heads back into seat rests and sent loose items floating for a terrifying second before crashing down again. The engines roared unevenly, like something struggling to breathe. In row 22, a young woman slept through it. Her name was Emily Carter, 22 years old, student pilot, halfway through her private pilot license. Her headphones were still on, soft music playing, her head resting against the cold window. A small flight school bag sat under the seat in front of her, student wings clipped to the zipper, plastic, cheap but precious. Another scream echoed. "Oxygen masks!" someone yelled. Panels snapped open. Yellow masks dropped like strange flowers from the ceiling. Panic spread fast, faster than the plane was falling. Emily stirred, frowning in her sleep. Then a hand grabbed her shoulder. Miss, wake up!" she gasped, ripping off her headphones as the plane jolted again. What's happening?" she asked, heart already racing. The flight attendant standing over her looked pale, not nervous pale, not stressed pale, terrified pale. Her name tag read Laura, but her hands were shaking so badly Emily barely noticed. "Miss, I need you to come with me," Laura said. Emily blinked. "Is there a problem with my seat?" Another violent drop threw Laura against the armrest. Somewhere up front, metal banged hard, followed by a piercing alarm that never stopped. Laura leaned closer, lowering her voice, as if the plane itself might hear. "Both pilots are down." Emily laughed once, short, confused. "What?" "The captain collapsed 10 minutes ago," Laura said. "The first officer tried to take control, then he hit his head during the dive." Emily's stomach turned cold. "You're joking." "I wish I was." Laura pointed toward the front of the plane. "The cockpit isn't answering. Autopilot disconnected. We're losing altitude." Emily looked around. Passengers were crying. A man clutched a rosary. A woman pressed her forehead against the seat in front of her, whispering prayers. A teenager was recording everything on his phone with shaking hands. Emily swallowed. "Why are you telling me this?" Laura's eyes dropped to Emily's bag. "The plastic wings." "I served you earlier," Laura said quickly. "You asked for coffee and told me you're a student pilot." Emily's breath caught. "That doesn't mean—" "You're the only person on this plane with any flight training," Laura said. "We checked. No off-duty pilots, no military, no instructors." The plane shook again, harder this time. Overhead bins rattled like they might burst open. Emily stood up without realizing she'd decided to. "I've never flown a jet," she said. "I've only done single-engine trainers, Cessnas, small planes." Laura nodded. "I know, but right now that's more than zero." A child screamed nearby. Someone shouted, "Are we going to crash?" Laura turned and shouted back, "Please stay seated." Her voice cracked halfway through. Emily's hands trembled. Her flight instructor's voice echoed in her head from 1,000 lessons ago. "When something goes wrong, you don't freeze. You fly the plane." She looked toward the cockpit door. "What altitude are we at?" Emily asked. Laura blinked, surprised by the question. 33,000 now, dropping." "Speed?" "I don't know." Emily exhaled slowly, forcing her breathing to steady. "Okay, take me to the cockpit." Laura hesitated. You're willing?" Emily shook her head. "No, I'm terrified." Another drop, screams again. "But I'm going anyway." They moved down the aisle together. Every step felt heavier than the last. Passengers reached out, grabbing at Laura's sleeve, Emily's arm. "Are you a pilot?" someone asked. Emily didn't answer. The cockpit door loomed ahead, locked, silent, unforgiving. Laura grabbed the intercom. "Captain, first officer, this is Laura, please respond." Nothing. Only alarms. Laura entered the emergency code. The door clicked, then slowly opened. The cockpit smelled wrong. Hot electronics, something burned. The captain lay slumped in his seat, eyes closed, chest barely moving. The first officer was on the floor, blood at his temple, unconscious. The controls shook violently under an angry autopilot warning. Emily froze. For one terrible second, she almost turned around. Then the plane dropped again. Her body moved before her fear could stop it. She climbed into the captain's seat, hands hovering just above the controls, afraid to touch anything. "So many screens," she whispered. Laura stood behind her, gripping the seat. "Tell me what to do." Emily scanned the instruments, heart pounding. Some things looked familiar: altitude tape, airspeed, attitude indicator. Others were completely foreign. "Okay," Emily said, forcing calm into her voice. "First rule, fly the plane." She wrapped her hands around the yoke. The vibration traveled straight through her arms. She eased back gently. The nose rose, too fast. "No, easy," she whispered, correcting. The descent slowed. For the first time in minutes, the plane stopped falling. Laura let out a shaky breath. "You did it." Emily didn't smile. "I just bought us time." She reached for the radio. Her finger hovered over the push-to-talk switch. Somewhere below them was an ocean. Somewhere ahead, maybe land. Somewhere behind, 200 lives, depending on a student pilot who had been asleep in row 22. She pressed the button. "Mayday," Emily said, voice trembling but clear. "Mayday, mayday, mayday, this is Flight 782. She swallowed hard. "I am a student pilot. Both pilots are incapacitated." The radio hissed. Then a calm voice replied, "Flight 782, we hear you." Emily closed her eyes for 1 second, then opened them. "Okay," she whispered to herself. "Let's not die today." Emily's hands tightened around the yoke as her heart slammed against her ribs. She forced herself to breathe slowly, counting in her head the way her instructor had taught her. In for 4, out for 6. "This is Emily Carter," she said. "I'm a student pilot. Private license in progress. I've never flown a jet." The controller didn't hesitate. "That's okay, Emily. You're doing great. Just keep the wings level. We're going to help you." Laura sank into the jump seat behind her, one hand covering her mouth, tears spilling freely now that someone else was in control. "Emily," the controller continued, "tell me what you see on your altitude." 32,000, Emily replied, descending slowly. "Good. Maintain that for now. Don't chase the numbers. Fly the attitude." Emily nodded even though the controller couldn't see her. She focused on the artificial horizon, blue above, brown below. "Keep it centered." Outside the cockpit windows, the sky was clear and painfully beautiful, an impossible contrast to the chaos inside. A sudden chime sounded. "Autopilot disengaged," a mechanical voice announced. Emily flinched. "It's okay," the controller said calmly. "You're hand-flying. You've got this." Her arms already ached from the pressure. Jets were heavier than anything she had trained in, every correction magnified. "Emily," the controller said, "we're diverting you to the nearest long runway. It's going to be straight in, no fancy maneuvers." "Understood," she said, surprising herself with how steady her voice sounded. Behind her, Laura spoke softly. "Passengers are asking, what should I tell them?" Emily swallowed. Tell them we're flying the plane." Laura nodded and rushed back into the cabin. Emily glanced at the unconscious captain. She reached out and checked his pulse again. Weak, but there. "Stay with me," she whispered. "I need you to survive this." The controller's voice returned. "Emily, reduce your descent gradually. We don't want to shock the aircraft." "How do I—" "Ease the nose down gently. Small inputs. Think fingertip pressure." She did exactly that. The altitude tape slowed. "You're learning fast," the controller said. "You'd make your instructor proud." The words hit her harder than she expected. Her throat tightened. "Okay," the controller continued. "We're going to configure for landing. When I say I'll help you with flaps and gear." Emily stared at the unfamiliar controls. "You're going to have to talk." "That's exactly what we're here for." Me through everything. Minutes passed. Long, exhausting minutes where Emily's entire world shrank to airspeed, altitude, and the gentle pressure of the yoke beneath her hands. In the cabin, the panic had softened into a heavy, fragile silence. People held hands, parents pressed children to their chests. Some cried quietly, others stared forward, afraid to blink. Laura returned to the cockpit. "They know," she said. "They believe in you." Emily didn't look back. "I hope they're right." "Emily," the controller said, "begin descent to 10,000. Descending to 10,000. The engines changed pitch as she adjusted power. The plane obeyed, slow and reluctant but steady. Clouds swallowed the aircraft, grey and thick. "Visibility is low," Emily said. "That's okay," the controller replied. "You'll come out of it." Her hands shook as the air grew turbulent again. The plane rocked, alarms chirping angrily. "Easy," she whispered, "easy." Then suddenly, light! They broke through the clouds, and there it was. The runway. Long, straight, glowing like a promise. Emily's breath caught. "I see it." "Good," the controller said. "You're lined up. Start slowing down." She pulled back on the throttles carefully, watching the airspeed bleed away. "Flaps 1, the controller instructed. Emily hesitated, then moved the lever. The nose pitched. She corrected. "Nice catch," the controller said. The ground rushed closer now, faster than she expected. "Gear down," the controller said. Emily reached for the lever. Her hand hovered for a split second. Then she lowered it. A heavy thump echoed through the fuselage. 3 green, the controller confirmed. At 500 feet, everything felt too fast, too big, too real. "I don't know if I can—" "Yes, you can," the controller said firmly. "You're flying, just keep flying." The runway filled the windshield. "Power idle," the controller said. Emily pulled the throttles back. "Flare gently," he continued, "not too much." Her arms screamed, her heart pounded. She raised the nose just a little. The wheels hit hard. The plane bounced once. A scream tore from Emily's throat. Hold it, the controller said. The second contact was smoother. Then the roar of reverse thrust. The plane slowed. Slower, slower. Finally, stopped. Silence. For a heartbeat, no one moved. Then the cabin exploded. Cheers, crying, laughter, people hugging strangers. Laura collapsed to her knees behind Emily, sobbing. Emily sat frozen, hands still gripping the yoke, tears streaming down her face. "We're on the ground," she whispered. "We're on the ground." Emergency vehicles surrounded the aircraft, lights flashing like stars. Medics rushed in, lifting the captain and first officer onto stretchers. As Emily stood, her legs gave out. Strong hands caught her. "You did it," a paramedic said. "You saved them." Reporters shouted questions. Cameras flashed. She ignored them all. She looked back at the cabin. Row 22, the seat where she had been asleep. The place where she had been just another passenger. Hours later, as the sun dipped low, Emily sat alone on the steps of the plane.